Extra Lesson 2, Chanda Kinara Jataka, number 485. A. Introduction. 'Tis passing away, etc. This is a story which the master told while dwelling in the banyan grove hard by Kapilavatu about Rahula's mother when he came back to Kapilavatu to see King Sudodama, his father. The master, seated in his father's house during the meal, recounted the Mahadhammapala birth, and after the meal was done, he said, I will praise the noble qualities of Rahula's mother in her own house by telling the Chanda Kinara birth. Then, handing his bowl to the king with the two chief disciples, he passed over to the house of Rahula's mother. At that time, there were some 1,000 dancing girls who lived in her presence, and many of them were maidens of the warrior caste. When the lady heard of the Tathagata's coming, she bade all these put on yellow robes, and they did so. The master came and took his seat in a place that was assigned to him. Then all the women cried out with one voice, and there was a great sound of lamentation. Rahula's mother, having wept and so put away her grief, welcomed the master and sat down with the deep reverence due to a king. Then the king began the tale of her goodness. Listen to me, sir. She heard that you wore yellow robes, and so she robed her in yellow. That garlands and such things are to be given up, and lo, she has given up garlands and sits upon the ground. When you entered into the religious life, she became a widow and refused the gifts that other kings sent her. So faithful is her heart to you. Thus he told of her goodness in many different ways. The master said, It is no marvel, great king, that now in my last existence the lady should love me and should be of faithful heart and led by me alone. So also, even when born as a non-human, she was faithful to me alone. Then, at the king's request, he told a story of the past.
B. Main Divisions. Part 1. Once upon a time, when Brahmadatta was king in Benares, the great being was born in the region of the Himalaya as a fairy. His wife was named Chanda. These two dwelt together on a silver mountain named Chandapabata, or the Mountain of the Moon. At that time, the king of Benares had committed his government to his ministers, and all alone, dressed in 2 yellow robes and armed with the 5 weapons, he proceeded to the Himalayas. Whilst eating his venison, he remembered where was a little stream, and began to climb the hill. Now the fairies that live on the Mountain of the Moon in the rainy season remain on the mountain and come down only in the hot weather. At that time this fairy Chanda, with his mate, came down and wandered about, anointing himself with perfumes, eating the pollen of flowers, clothing himself in flower gauze for inner and outer garments, swinging in the creepers to amuse himself, singing songs in a honey voice. He too came to this stream, and at one halting place he went down into it with his wife, scattering flowers about and playing in the water. Then they put on again their garments of flowers, and on a sandy spot white as a silver plate they spread a couch of flowers and lay there. Picking up a piece of bamboo, the male fairy began to play upon it and sang with a honey voice, while his mate, waving her soft hands, danced hard by and sang withal. The king caught the sound, and treading softly so that his footsteps might not be heard, he approached and stood watching the fairies in a secret place. He immediately fell in love with the female fairy. He will shoot the husband, thought he, and kill him, and I will live here with the wife. Then he shot the fairy Chanda, who, lamenting in his pain, uttered 4 stanzas. 'Tis passing away, methinks, and my blood is flowing, flowing. I am losing my hold on life, O Chanda, my breath is going. 'Tis sinking, I am in pain, my heart is burning, burning. But 'tis for thy sorrow, Chanda, the heart within me is yearning. As grass, as a tree I perish, as a waterless river I dry. But 'tis for thy sorrow, Chanda, my heart within me is yearning. As rain on a lake at the mountain foot are the tears that fall from my eyes. But 'tis for thy sorrow, Chanda, my heart within me is yearning.
Part 2. Thus did the great being lament in 4 stanzas, and lying upon his couch of flowers, he lost consciousness and turned away. The king stood where he was, but the other fairy did not know that the great being was wounded, not even when he uttered his lament, being intoxicated with her own delight. Seeing him lie there, turned away and lifeless, she began to wonder what could be the matter with her lord. As she examined him, she saw the blood oozing from the mouth of the wound, and being unable to bear the great pain of sorrow for her beloved husband, she cried out with a loud voice. The fairy must be dead, thought the king, and he came out and showed himself. When Chanda beheld him, she thought, "This must be the brigand who has slain my dear husband," and trembling she took to flight. Standing upon the hilltop, she denounced the king in 5 stanzas. Yon evil prince, ah, woe is me, my husband dear did wound, who there beneath a woodland tree now lies upon the ground. O prince, the woe that wrings my heart may thy own mother pay, the woe that wrings my heart to see my fairy dead this day. Yea, prince, the woe that wrings my heart may thy own wife repay, the woe that wrings my heart to see my fairy dead this day. And may thy mother mourn her lord, and may she mourn her son, who on my lord most innocent for lust this deed hast done. And may thy wife look on and see the loss of lord and son, for thou upon my harmless lord for lust this deed hast done. When she had thus made her moan in these 5 stanzas, standing upon the mountain top, the king comforted her by another stanza. Weep not nor grieve, the woodland dark has blinded you, I ween. A royal house shall honor thee, and thou shalt be my queen. What is this word thou hast said? Cried Chanda when she heard it, and loud as a lion's roar she declaimed the next stanza. No, I will surely slay myself, thine I will never be, who slain my husband innocent, and all for lust for me. When he heard this, his passion left him, and he recited another stanza. Live if you wilt, O timid one, to Himalaya go, creatures that feed on shrubs and trees, the woodland loves I know. Part 3. With these words he departed indifferent. Chanda, so soon as she knew him gone, came up, and embracing the great being, took him up to the hilltop, and laid him on the flat land there. Placing his head on her lap, she made her moan in 12 stanzas. Here in the hills and mountain caves, in many a glen and grot, what shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not? The wild beasts range, leaves spread on many a lovely spot. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not? The wild beasts range, sweet flowers spread on many a lovely spot. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not? Clear run the rivers down the hills, with flowers all overgrown. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now thou hast left me lone? Blue are the Himalaya hills, most fair they are to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now I behold thee not? Gold tips the Himalaya hills, most fair they are to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now I behold thee not? The Himalaya hills glow red, most fair they are to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now I behold thee not? Sharp are the Himalaya peaks, they are most fair to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now I behold thee not? White gleam the Himalaya peaks, they are most fair to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now I behold thee not? The Himalaya rainbow-hued, most fair it is to see. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not? Hill fragrant is to goblins dear, plants cover every spot. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not?
The fairies love the fragrant hill, plants cover every spot. What shall I do, O fairy mine, now that I see thee not?
So she made her moan, and putting the hand of the great being on her breast, she felt that it still was warm. Chanda lives yet, she thought. I will taunt the gods until I bring him to life again. Then she cried aloud, taunting them. Are there none who govern the world? Are they on a journey? Or peradventure they are dead, and therefore save not my dear husband? By the power of her pain, Saka's throne became hot. Pondering, he perceived the cause. In the form of a Brahmin, he approached, and from a water pot took water and sprinkled the great being with it. On the instant the poison ceased to act, his color returned. He knew not so much as the place where the wound had been. The great being stood up quite well. Chanda, seeing her well-beloved husband to be whole, in joy, fell at the feet of Saka, and sang his praise in the following stanza. Praise, holy Brahmin, who didst give to a hapless wife her well-loved husband, sprinkling him with the elixir of life. Saka then gave this advice. From this time forth go not down from the mountain of the moon among the paths of men, but abide here. Twice he repeated this, and then returned to his own place. And Chanda said to her husband, Why stay here in danger, my lord? Come, let us go to the mountain of the moon, reciting the last stanza. To the mountain let us go, where the lovely rivers flow, rivers all overgrown with flowers. There forever, while the breeze whispers in 1,000 trees, charm with talk at the happy hours. Conclusion. When the master had ended this discourse, he said, Not now only, but long ago, as now, she was devoted and faithful of heart to me. Then he identified the birth. At that time, Aniruddha was the king, Rahula's mother was Chanda, and I myself was the fairy.
Extra Lesson 3, Book 2. Welcome to Thien Mu Pagoda. Introduction. Suppose you are staying at Thien Mu Pagoda in Hue, where tourists come every day to see sights. Act out the role of a tourist guide in one of their visits to your pagoda.
Hello, brother, sister. We are students from Ho Chi Minh City coming here for the first time. We'd like to see the most famous ancient pagoda as soon as we arrive in our ancient capital.
Hello, friends. Welcome to our pagoda. Let me introduce myself to you, and you know one more friend. I'm a graduate from the Vietnam Buddhist Academy in Ho Chi Minh City, too. I've just come back to my hometown after graduation day. I'm glad to receive you at our pagoda, and if you like, I'll be your guide today.
What a wonderful idea! We've been longing to spend a vacation in Hue and make a tour to such beauty spots as the Citadel, the Royal Palace and Royal Tombs, and above all, Thien Mu Pagoda, the symbol of Hue through the ages. We've seen lots of pictures of your pagoda in books and on TV, but it's much more interesting to see it with our own eyes now. Would you please tell us a brief history of your pagoda?
Sure. Let's go inside to have some tea and fruit before going around the site and talking about it.
When and where was the pagoda founded?
According to O Cho Can Look, Modern Records of O Province, it was founded long ago and was rebuilt at the beginning of the 17th century, 1601, by order of Lord Nguyen Hong on Hill Ha Khe, Huong Lum Hamlet, Thua Thien Province.
Why is it called Thien Mu?
A legend said that on one occasion, Lord Nguyen Hong made a sightseeing tour to this wonderful hill. There, he was told about a white-haired lady in a red robe and blue trousers sitting on the hilltop, saying, "A righteous lord will come here someday to rebuild a pagoda on this holy place as the solid foundation of his reign." Then she disappeared. In memory of the old lady, the hill has since been popularly known as Mount Thien Mu, the Holy Lady's Mount, where the pagoda was rebuilt and named Thiên Mu Pagoda, meaning the Holy Lady's Pagoda, by order of the Lord. Under King Tu Duc, it was renamed Linh Mu. Linh or Thiên has the same meaning as sacred, holy, divine in English as well as in Vietnamese.
Was the former pagoda the same structure as this one?
No. In its early days, it was only a simple place of worship without any artistic works. In 1665, Lord Nguyen Phuc Ton had it rebuilt on a small scale.
Would you tell us something about one of the earliest well-known abbots of the pagoda?
By the end of the 17th century, 1695, Tak Liem, a Chinese Chan master of Zhengsai origin and famous monk scholar of the Sao Tong sect, made a sea voyage to South Vietnam at the request of Lord Nguyen Phuc Chu to celebrate a higher ordination ceremony at Thien Lam Pagoda in Hue on the occasion of the Buddha's birth anniversary in 1695, the year of the pig. Later, he was appointed abbot of Thiên Mu Pagoda by the Lord. From this pagoda, he set out on his preaching tour southwards the following year.
When was the great bell cast?
In 1710, Lord Nguyen Phuc Chu had the great bell cast. The bell, weighing 3,280 kun, over 2,000 kilos, is 1.5 meters high and 1.2 meters wide. It's really an invaluable work of art, the sounds of which have since aroused deep feelings in the hearts of Hue residents, as well as visitors, and it has become a boundless source of inspiration for folk songs and poems.
Would you sing a popular folk song to us, friend?
As drooping bamboo branches are dangling in the gentle breeze, the Linh Mu bell sounds are echoing, and the To Suong night watch is making an announcement with drum beats.
What a lovely folk song. It expresses the peaceful scenery where the pagoda is located, and its bell sounds are in harmony with the drum beats of a night watch and the rustling of bamboo leaves in the breeze. Well, could you do us one more favor by reciting a famous poem relating to the pagoda?
Yes, of course. Thiên Mu Pagoda was classified by King Teo Chi among 20 typical famous beauty spots of the royal capital. This is a poem of eulogy to the pagoda entitled The Thiên Mu Bell Sounds, composed by the king. Please listen carefully, and I will speak. The Thiên Mu Bell Sounds by King Teo Chi. On the high hill stands the ancient pagoda, safeguarding the river in front. Meanwhile, in the permanent heaven, forever reigns the full-orbed moon. The 108 bell sounds seem to dispel all troubles and worries of human bondage and awaken all sentient beings in the 3,000-world system to the cause of their existences in the past, the present, and the future. The world veiled in the dark vibrates as the bell is struck at noontide, and the sounds of sutra recitation in the morning convey the wonderful qualities of the noble path. The Buddha's blessings and King's merits are indeed all-pervading, for good begets good is the universal law.
How wonderful it is to hear such an impressive eulogy poem from a Buddhist king to a Buddhist pagoda. It reveals the king's religious piety and great admiration for his ancestors' merits of constructing this magnificent pagoda for Buddhist prosperity in the early days of the southern expansion. Indeed, the Nguyen lords made a great contribution to the Buddhist propagation in the last 3 centuries in South Vietnam. When was the pagoda reconstructed on a large scale? In 1714, Lord Nguyen Phuc Chu ordered a large-scale reconstruction comprising various stately buildings such as the Triple Gate, the 4 Heavenly Kings' Shrine, the Emperor of Jade's Shrine, the Shrine to the 10 Kings of the Netherworld, the Yama World, the Preaching Hall, the Treasury for Holy Textbooks, the Bell Tower, the Drum Tower, the Van Tu House, the Tree V House, the Meditation Hall, the Great Mercy Shrine, the Healing Master Shrine, and chambers for monks.
In addition, the monks there were allowed to spend a 3-month summer retreat at Da Park, and later some of them were sent to China to make a request for over 1,000 volumes of the Mahayana Tripitaka, the 3 baskets of the holy scriptures of developing Buddhism, which were brought back to Vienna and preserved in the canon treasury. In the early 19th century, King Jia Long and King Ming Wang had the pagoda repaired in such places as the Great Hero Shrine, the Maitreya Shrine, the Avalokitesvara Great Mercy Shrine, the Canon Treasury, and the Shrine to the Netherworld's 10 Kings.
When was the stupa erected?
It was erected in 1844 by order of King Tiu Tri. At first, it was called Tu Nyan and later renamed Phyak Yuen. It is a 7-story brick tower, 21 meters high, each story of which contains a Buddha statue. For over 150 years, now the stupa has reflected its majestic image in the romantic perfume river, evoking indescribable feelings in countless visitors coming from everywhere on earth. In front of the stupa was the Hung Nguyen 3-fold pavilion with a skillfully carved wooden framework. On both sides are the stele houses where the details of the erection of Phyak Yuen stupa, Hung Nguyen pavilion, and many poems composed by King Tiu Tri were inscribed.
Well, has the pagoda been kept intact until today?
No, it was seriously damaged by a heavy storm that swept throughout the ancient capital in the Year of the Dragon, 1904, and was restored by order of King Thang Tai. Since then, the most venerable abbot Thich Don Hao and other monks, nuns, and lay Buddhists have participated in the reconstruction of the pagoda. Though smaller in size, it retains its former magnificence and majesty. Today, you visitors can see the Phyak Yuen stupa and the stone-paved floor of the former Hung Yuen pavilion right after climbing up 15 steps leading to the Triple Gate. There remain 2 stele houses on both sides of the floor near a stele house and a bell house of the stupa. Now, dear friend, we'd like to go to the Buddha shrine and pay homage to the Buddha. Well, let's go to an enclosure inside a stone wall through Nimon Gate, and you can see the Great Hero Shrine, the Earth Store Kisitagarbha Shrine, and the Great Mercy Shrine.
How is the Great Hero Shrine decorated?
It is simply decorated with the Buddha Maitreya's statue in the forefront, flanked by a bell and a rare stone gong. In the central altar, ornately carved, brilliantly gilded, and vermilion painted, you can see the 3 statues of the Buddha's Trikaya, namely Dharmakaya, the symbol of the essence or substance of Dharma, Sambhogakaya, the symbol of Buddha nature, and Nirmanakaya, the symbol of the created body. In front are the Buddha Sakyamuni's statue and a low table with a small bell and a wooden fish. On both sides of the central altar are altars to the Bodhisattva Manjusri, the wonderful voice, and the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, the universal sage.
Where is the most venerable late abbot Thich Don Hao's stupa? We'd like to offer incense, jostics, in honor of the most venerable late abbot who devoted all his life to the cause of Dharma propagation in Vienna.
All right, let's go to the pine grove where the late abbot's stupa is located, and you can see how we Buddhists worship our revered master every day. What a picturesque setting it is! The calm stupa closely surrounded with whispering pine trees is really attractive. Let's have some photographs taken together right here as a souvenir of our trip. And lastly, please show us the way back to the Phyak Yuen stupa and the stele houses before leaving. Kindly step this way, please, and you'll see the inscription on the stele erected in 1715 by Lord Nguyen Phuc Chu in praise of the most celebrated ancient pagoda in Hue. How beautiful is the landscape in South Vienna today. How imposing is the pagoda on the gate of which reflects the sunlight. As nature is calm and pure, water is murmuring out of a spring. Now that the country is peaceful, life is easy and carefree everywhere.
Dear friend, we've been longing for a visit to Tianmu Pagoda since we were still very young, and today our dream has come true. We'd like to say the most sincere thanks for your kind hospitality. We've learnt lots of wonderful information about the poetic pagoda from you. We'll tell them to our friends in Ho Chi Minh City and ask them to join us in our next trip to Hue. We really appreciate your talk. This is one of the unforgettable journeys we've even made in our school life. Thanks a lot. We hope we're not disturbing you today.
Not at all. You're not bothering me, friends. I'm very glad we have this opportunity to meet and talk about our pagoda. Moreover, I'm delighted at your deep interest in learning such various things about Hue's beauty spots. I hope to see you in Ho Chi Minh City when I continue my postgraduate studies there. Goodbye and good trip to you all.
We've enjoyed seeing you. We'd better be going now.
I hope we'll meet again soon.
Thanks again for the morning. Goodbye.
Extra Lesson 4, Book 2. Welcome to VØN Nim Pagoda. Suppose you are living at VØN Nim Pagoda, which receives hundreds of visitors every day. Take the role of a receptionist and act out the dialogue between him and foreign visitors.
Hello, brother. We're Japanese students at the Department of Asian Studies at the University of Ho Chi Minh City. We've just been here for a few days, and we'd like to see your pagoda as soon as possible.
Welcome to our pagoda. I'm a fourth-year monk student at the Vietnam Buddhist Academy in this city. Some classmates of mine and I are residents here. We're glad to make your acquaintance. You're from Japan, a country of Buddhist temples, and maybe you want to know some typical features of our Vietnamese pagodas, don't you?
That's right. We're anxious to visit Vietnamese famous pagodas, especially this pagoda. We're really impressed by the great stupa whenever we ride past the triple gates of the pagoda. We're very lucky to meet you today. We hope to learn a lot of interesting things about the most famous pagoda in this city.
Well, let's go to the reception room to have some tea first. This way, please.
When was this pagoda built?
It was built from 1964 to 1971 after a plan drawn by the architect Nguyen Ba Long and his colleagues.
What design is it?
It is a U-shaped two-story building with an Oriental-style double roof.
Why is it named VØN Nim?
It is named VØN Nim after the Buddhist cultural center of the Truklam sect, headed by the Truklam Trinity, three patriarchs Truklam, Pháp Loa, and Huyen Quang, under the Tron reign in former Bac Giang province, present Ha Bac province. It's also the religious title of Patriarch Tong Han, 1838 to 1936, a dignified Chan master who was once consecrated North Vienne Buddhist Sangha president. According to the charter of the former Unified Vienne Buddhist Sangha, all Buddhists of northern origin living in South Vienne belong to the VØN Nim community seated at the central patriarchal house.
What a large auditorium! Is it the preaching hall of your pagoda?
Yes, it is. We have lectures on the Dhamma every Sunday morning here. Hundreds of people come to hear Dhamma talks given by various Dhamma teachers.
What are the towers on the upper courtyard?
They are the Avalokiteshvara stupa on the left and the bell tower on the right. The great bell inside is a rare gift from the Japanese Buddhist Sangha, you know.
Really? It is a good chance that we can see a valuable gift donated by our fellow people as a sign of friendship between the two Buddhist brotherhoods.
Now, let's go inside the main hall and you'll see many other priceless donations offered by devotees to the Triple Gem.
How splendid the main hall is! How long and how wide is it?
It's 22 meters wide and 35 meters long. Have you ever seen such wooden net-like panels around the altars before?
Never. What are they?
They are carvings that look like nets with such images as the four sacred animals, that is, the dragon, the unicorn, the tortoise, and the phoenix, typical of Chinese traditional art, and the 9 dragons sprinkling water at the Buddha's birthplace in Lumbini Park, North India, modern Nepal.
Let's look closer at the panels to see how lovely they are. The craftsmen in your country are skillful indeed at such meticulous works of art.
Yes, of course. They were well-known carvers coming here from many towns and villages in North and South Vietnam. They had learned the art of carving on wood, silver, and bronze, handed down from generation to generation in their native land. Now, look at the altars decorated with reliefs of famous Asian pagodas. Above are horizontal boards inscribed with Chinese calligraphy, and on both sides of each altar are vertical boards with parallel sentences. All are gilded and vermilion painted. Besides, there are paintings depicting Buddhist legends.
Wonderful. We really admire them. We can't imagine how much time and effort were spent on these elaborate and painstaking works of art. Those gifted craftsmen and painters must have been devout Buddhists who wished to make their own contribution to the Dharma prosperity in your country, we believe.
That's right. Buddhism was once a state religion under the Li and Tran dynasties from the 11th century to the 14th century, when many kings, courtiers, and scholars, as well as common people, became Buddhist monks. It is called the Golden Age of Vietnamese Buddhism, and the Truc Lam Chen sect, the unique Vietnamese Chen sect headed by the Truc Lam Trinity on Mount An Tu, is the symbol of the Vietnamese Buddhist summit. Even today, though Buddhist influence is not as widespread as it was before, a large number of Vietnamese people are Buddhists.
In Japan, Buddhism has been a state religion for many centuries, and Buddhism has had a great influence on various social activities. So, the Vietnamese and the Japanese have shared the same belief in Lord Buddha Sakyamuni for such a long time.
Well, look at the Buddha statue in the central altar, flanked by the Bodhisattva Samantabhadras, the symbol of virtue, and the Bodhisattva Manjushris, the symbol of wisdom. The golden-hued statue is really majestic. Let's do the Buddha homage, friends. On both sides of the central altars are statues of the Buddha's holy disciples, such as the Venerable Sariputta, Kassapa the Great, Ananda, Rahula, you know? They were classified among the preeminent ones by the Buddha himself. Now, I'd like to tell you something about these 6 wooden Arahant reliefs illustrating the almsgiving to Arahants, the gift offering to Arahants, the learner admonishing Arahants, the Dhamma preaching and hearing Arahants, the sinner-saving Arahants in the Sword Mountain Purgatory, the sinner-saving Arahants in the Icy Purgatory. Each Arahant is escorted by 2 yakshas bearing candles in honor of the Buddha. These wooden carvings are imitations of the Japanese Pure Land School's originals.
What impressive carvings! They show us how the Buddha's holy disciples practice the Buddha Dharma and work for other beings' salvation wherever possible, even in the most dangerous situations, such as the Sword Mountain Purgatory, the Icy Purgatory. The Buddha's holy disciples are indeed worthy of reverence and offering. They are an incomparable field of merits in the world.
And these are bronze statues of Vajra gods, Dharma guardians, on both sides of the corridor, one for good and the other against evil. I think there are Vajra statues in Japanese temples, aren't there?
Yes, sure. The Pure Land School is very popular in Japan, so we see many similarities in altar decoration between the Vietnamese pagodas and Japanese ones. But why does this pagoda roof have curved ends? We seldom see such curved roof ends anywhere else.
The curved roof ends are typical of the northern pagoda style, with a double front roof topped by a Dharma wheel. Moreover, they are all phoenix head-shaped. Now let's go to the Avalokiteshvara stupa on the left, and you can take some photographs of the famous 7-story square stupa of our city.
How high is it, and how much does it cover?
It's 35 meters high from the ground, and it covers about 50 square meters on a 200 square meter upper yard. Each roof edge on the first story is 7 meters long. On both sides of the entrance are Vajra gods relief sculptures, 1 meter 48 high and 0.74 meters wide. Along the walls of the 7 stories, there are 27 relief sculptures of the 7 past Buddhas and many Dharma patriarchs. Now, friends, let's have some photos taken together at the entrance before entering to see each story.
What is the building over there?
It's the seat of the High School of Buddhist Studies in Ho Chi Minh City, where the students attend a 4-year course before going to the VN Buddhist Academy through an entrance examination if they wish to. Vĩnh is both the greatest pagoda of our city and a Buddhist cultural center, so it receives hundreds of pilgrims and visitors every day, especially on the occasion of the Buddha's birthday on the full moon day of the 4th lunar month, the filial piety day on the full moon day of the 7th month, Lunar New Year's Eve, and Lunar New Year's Day. The yard is crowded with people. Some of them are foreigners or officials who come on their working visit to our city and are very surprised to see incense burning everywhere.
What is the stupa in back of the pagoda?
It's the public relics stupa, erected in 1982 as a place of worship to laymen's relics. It's a 4-level tower representing Vietnamese architecture.
One more question. Could you tell us who the present abbot is?
He's the most venerable Thích Thanh Kim, one of the high dignitaries of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha. He's a well-learned monk scholar who made his Buddhist studies abroad, especially in Japan several decades ago. He has written many pieces of research on Buddhism in India, in China, and in Japan. He's now teaching the history of Chinese Buddhism and Japanese Buddhism, as well as the Code of Mahayanist rules at our Institute of Advanced Buddhist Studies.
How old is he now?
He's nearly 80, but he is still very healthy and hardworking. He is really a very active religious worker for the cause of Dharma propagation in our country.
Great. We admire him. We hope you'll kindly introduce us to the abbot in our next visit to your pagoda so that we can wait upon him and hear him talk about the Dharma in Japanese. Well, we must be going to school now. We've just had a wonderful time with you here. We can't thank you enough for the full explanation you've given us today. You've supplied us with very valuable information about the most famous pagoda in your city. We hope to arrange our next visit to your pagoda on the occasion of the Buddha's birthday to see how beautifully the Municipal Buddhist Sangha celebrate the most important holiday of all Buddhists in this magnificent pagoda. Thanks once more for taking time to explain everything to us. This is one of the most enjoyable visits we've ever made in your city. You're an excellent guide.
I appreciate your compliment. I'm glad you've enjoyed your visit to our pagoda. I hope you'll join us here on the Buddha's birthday anniversary. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you later.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi kênh của mình. Đừng quên ấn nút đăng ký, thích, bình luận và chia sẻ video với mọi người nhé.